Okay, so how to fix the most expensive legal mistakes in your email marketing. And I want to know if you've ever felt like this, which is I am paralyzed by the legal stuff. It's all super intimidating. I don't know what I don't know. And it seems complicated and hard and like I can't do it myself. So if you've ever felt that way, give me a little shout out in the chat because you're not alone, first of all, because others also feel that way. Um, but also, I don't want you to feel that way because what it comes down to is it's just a matter of knowing the rules. And once you know the rules, you can have that little like sigh of relief and, um, you know, not stress about it because like I said, it's just a matter of knowing the rules. And that's where I come in. Yes, I'm a lawyer, but I'm also an educator. And that's why I do these workshops. I'm an online shop owner. I have a digital template shop. I'm an artist and former musician. I was a professional or maybe semi professional opera singer, chorus singer. I was a music student. Also, homestead curious. Just a little fun fact. Very curious about homesteading, sourdough maker. I'm a Scorpio sun, just celebrated my 40th birthday last week, and a 1-free manifesting generator, which means I like to have my fingers in lots of pots and I'm multi passionate, and also that I like to investigate and research. And I've been in your shoes. I feel like so many people, so many entrepreneurs that I meet lately have kind of gone on this journey of like, yes, this is how my business started when I was a baby business owner. But I've gone through this whole roller coaster of finding myself and finding where I want to work in this world. So you'll see some little pictures of me in my musical theater days, which was my pre Elwoods. I think I'll go to law school today moment, to burning the midnight oil and working for my former firm and wearing a suit and doing the litigation and the hard things, to burning that suit and getting rid of it and going through some self discovery and figuring out the clients that I really want to work with and the work that really lights me up and learning rules along the way and applying those rules and having being of service as a core value and not being ashamed or afraid to say, yes, I want to make money. That's why I'm in business. So I feel like this is something that I hear a lot from my clients, and I have been there too. So these are the things that are my vibe. Copyright, which is protecting your creative works, not just art and sculpture, but also online classes and workshop materials. Uh, Trademark law, which is protecting your brand name. Internet law, which is kind of contracts on the internet, your website terms of use, privacy policy, marketing yourself online legally, which is what we're talking about today, and contracts. And so by the end of this workshop, you're going to have a checklist to follow for every email. And it's a 4-part checklist. You're probably already doing 2 of those things. And I'll bet after 1 or 2 emails after this workshop, you're gonna be like, okay, I don't need a list. Like I know these things now. It'll become second nature to you. You'll also have a free way to legally collect testimonials. You'll have some pick and choose disclaimers that you can copy and paste. And you'll have access to extra support if you want it. So, what kind of lawyer would I be without a disclaimer? This workshop is educational, not legal advice. If you have a specific legal problem or scenario, please, 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 it doesn't have to be me. Talk to a lawyer before you act or don't act. Still have my disclaimer. Let's do this. The first thing we're going to talk about is 4 things that you absolutely must have in every email. I'm just going to make sure that the chat is showing up for me because little bubbles are not showing up for me. Okay, we're good. Okay. 4 things you must have in every email to avoid legal trouble. This is where we're going. The from field, the subject line, your address, and opt out. Those are the 4 things. Let's tackle each of those. The overarching rule is don't be misleading. It's very duh. It's very obvious, but don't be misleading. So, thing 1, from. Who is the email from? This rule is mostly for the corporate setting, but it also applies to, not using a misleading domain name or email address when you're sending marketing emails, not saying that it's from Sue when it's really from, Ulta Beauty. Not being misleading and making people think, oh, this is a personal email when it's really from a company. Now, so many businesses that I work with are personal brands. And so it is from you. It's from your business, but it's from you. So that's not the violation we're talking about here. What we're talking about is just making sure that there's nothing misleading going on. Like I said, not using a funky domain name or making it seem like the email is coming from somewhere where it's not. Thing two is a subject line. And again, don't be misleading, be accurate. I put these on the same slide because they kind of, like I said, common sense, but they both tie into that theme of not being misleading and being accurate. So here's what not to do. And I took this from, I love Flowdesk, by the way. I love Flowdesk. I would tell everybody to use Flowdesk. That's the email marketing tool that I use. MailChimp, ConvertKit, there are so many, right? And I grabbed a screenshot recently. My last newsletter that went out was all about how popular AI tools use your data and creative content. And there's an amazing tool within Flowdesk where you can resend an email to people who didn't open it. And it's wonderful because more people open that email and you have the opportunity to try out a new subject line. But what does Flowdesk do? Flowdesk adds this RE in front of your previous subject line. And I don't agree with this practice. I got roasted on the internet for saying this. So take what you will. But to me, when I see RE and a colon in front of an email subject line, what does your brain automatically think? What does your brain automatically think? I'm asking you. When you see RE in an email subject line, you automatically have that knee-jerk reaction of, oh, this person is responding to an email I sent, right? You were somehow in conversation with this person and they're responding. That's what I think when I see the RE. I think it's kind of misleading, excuse me, to use that RE when it's outside of that context. So maybe you don't agree, but I think that this is an example of something that's borderline that could be misleading if it's used improperly. Okay, thing three is an address, a valid mailing address. You have to have a valid mailing address in your email. It's usually in your footer. A PO box is fine. Just your city is not fine. Just your state is not fine. A fake address, please no, right? You have to have a valid mailing address. And if you're like, do I have to? Yes, you have to, because this is the fine. And that's per email sent, $46,000. And this is all enforced by the FTC. Super easy. PO box. I think my PO box is like $100 every 6 months or something. There are also registered agent companies. If you have an LLC and you don't want to list your personal address, you can use a registered agent address, but your business address, your mailing address, right? Not just city and state, nothing fake. This is such an easy one to avoid, right? And a very expensive one. The last thing on this little checklist for our marketing emails is an opt-out. And number one, having a way to do it, having an opt-out. And this is built into pretty much every email marketing platform now. So you don't even have to think about it. Making sure that the opt-out is honored. Again, Flowdesk, MailChimp, all these guys, like if someone opts out, the tech is there to make sure that that opt-out is honored, the unsubscribe. And making it easy to find. And this is where folks can sometimes get in trouble rather. So here's what not to do. I don't remember who I got this email from, but I grabbed this screenshot because my toxic trait is like looking for legal issues in terms of use and in emails. But I'm curious if you have a guess as to what I find problematic in this email or the structure, or is there anything that sticks out to you that might be a problem in this email or email footer? Yes. It's this. The unsubscribe should be easy to find. And this, I don't know what the contrast ratio is, but that's not a very good contrast ratio. It's thankfully I don't have a disability when it comes to color, but many people do. And that's why there are contrast rules and ADA compliance rules. We won't touch on that today, but this is not a good enough contrast. Side note, I have a friend who's brilliant and has created many color tools and color palette tools, one of which is a contrast checker. And so this QR code will lead you there. It's called the Color Palette Studio. And you can literally check the contrast of your colors, your whole palette. You can create palettes. There are so many things you can do, but checking the contrast, I should go in later and check the contrast of this right here because I don't think it's a very good contrast. And I think that the FTC, if they saw this email, might have an issue with it. Okay, another not to do or thing not to do. Sometimes you see a footer and it's like this, and you're like, where is the unsubscribe? And I took a step further and underlined it here, but this is a no. You can't jam pack. It's kind of like hashtags, right? Like if you're creating an affiliate post, you can't hide your affiliate hashtag in the middle of this big paragraph of hashtags. Same thing with your email footer. The unsubscribe, the opt out should be easy to find. This is not easy to find. It's in the middle of a bunch of text. I feel like recently one of the big, I don't know, DSW or something, I saw in their footer and I was like, where is the unsubscribe here? I should not have to ask that question. It should be very easy to find. Okay. Vibe checks. We just went through a lot. Talked about from and subject line and the address and the opt out / unsubscribe. Does this all feel doable? Any questions? Keep going over here because I don't trust the chat. The chat's not popping up over here. Sometimes it's buried in 2 paragraphs of text, right? Yes. Yes, totally. I know the address is a big one. A lot of people don't know about it. But it's an easy fix, right? It's an easy fix. So we like an easy fix. Okay, great. Next, my step-by-step process for legally using testimonials. We're going to spend a bit of time here because literally weeks ago, the rules changed. The FTC came up with some more rules about reviews and testimonials, and it's all very interesting. And Black Friday is coming up, and we're all going to be sending out those marketing emails and social proof, right? Like every copywriter talks about social proof and how important it is, and getting those testimonials and using them in their marketing, but they can get you in trouble. And so we're going to talk about how to make sure they don't get you in trouble. So here's where we're going in this section. We're going to talk about getting permission. We're going to talk about systematizing, getting those testimonials. We'll talk about adding a disclaimer, and then we're going to talk about earnings claims. That's the juicy one. Okay. So getting permission. Let's talk about why you need permission to use someone's words, name, or face in a promotional sense. The reason is called right of publicity law, and I won't bore you too much with the finer points. And each state has its own law. It's state regulated, not federally. But the premise is this: you, whether you're a celebrity or not, you have the right to control how your name, image, likeness is used in a commercial sense. What does that mean? That means in promoting a business or endeavor. It can be a nonprofit too. It doesn't have to be a for-profit business. We all have that right. And so that's why you need someone's permission to use it. One fun example, Katherine Heigl, remember Grey's Anatomy? She was a star of Grey's Anatomy, excuse me. She was seen walking out of Duane Reade, which is a New York drugstore. And Duane Reade retweeted, they didn't even take the photo, they retweeted the photo and said, see, even Katherine Heigl likes New York's favorite drugstore, or whatever it was they said. She filed a lawsuit against them for $6 million. It settled, and granted, she's a celebrity, but it was all about that right of publicity law. So that was a crazy lawsuit. Like I said, it settled. But you need to get permission. I'll also tell this story. I went a couple of years ago to a mastermind / mini conference for women in business. And part of this community, this networking community that was all gathering together, part of what they were doing at the mastermind at the very end was unveiling their new website. And look how beautiful the website is. This is on the last day of the mastermind. Look at the website, look how beautiful. And you would see someone's image with something really nice about this networking community. And you could see the women, I could see the women around me just kind of surprised to see their own faces and their own words on this screen. And they knew, the lawyer's sitting in the back. And one friend, new friend, kind of turned to me and said, "Does she need permission to do that?" And I said, "Yeah." I kind of just nodded my head. "You do need permission." Um, because again, you're using someone's name, image, likeness in a commercial sense. And so there are different scenarios. And I'm not saying that you need a contract every time someone says something nice. Maybe they submit a Google review. Maybe they shout you out on Instagram, or do a post or a comment, maybe it's an email compliment that lands in your inbox. "Oh my gosh, I love this course," whatever. They are complimenting you. Or maybe you send out a form. Now, in these three scenarios on the top, is it the best practice to get something in writing? Yes. Am I saying you have to do that if someone emails you something nice and you're like, "Hey, do you mind if I use this on my website?" The risk to not getting someone to sign something is that they can come back to you and say, "Hey, take that down." Because you're responding to their email, you're saying it in writing, "Can I use this on my website or can I use this on social media?" I would be specific. And they're responding and saying yes or no. Um, so you have that documented. They just haven't signed something. So it's not irrevocable. It doesn't have all of the, the perfect legal language, but you have that permission, right? You have it. Same thing with a Google review. If you can somehow contact someone, maybe by responding to that review or somehow asking them, "Hey, this, thank you, blah, blah, blah. Can I use this on social media on my website?" They have to give you that permission and it's documented. They just, like I said, the risk is they can change their mind in a month and say, "Hey, no, take that down." Okay, fine. So ask for that permission, is what I'm saying. You have to get permission. So ask for that permission. Now, there are other scenarios where you can systematize getting those testimonials because, hello, I'm raising my hand. It's hard to remember to get them. You're busy, you're doing lots of things. And so it's easier when someone just says something nice out of the blue to be like, "Oh, I want to use that." Ask for permission if that happens. But if you're a service provider, especially, having that as part of your workflow is really valuable because then you have it documented. It's part of your workflow. It's part of your onboarding or actually your offboarding because you've provided services for them. So there's that asking for permission versus seeking out testimonials at the end of your time with a client. Um, so this is a little present. It's totally free. I made it basically because of popular demand. People kept asking me, what's a legal testimonial form that I can use to collect testimonials from my clients? So if you scan that QR code, you'll see that free testimonial form. All of my templates are kind of look like this, and I'll show you more in more detail later, but they're all kind of Mad Lib style. They're easy to fill out. And there are really two forms in this testimonial form. One is like a formal signature thing, and one is a form that you can put into your either Google Forms or your CRM or something and just have it live there. So there you go. Enjoy. I'm checking the chat. Okay, we're good. Step 3, add a disclaimer. Yes, anywhere you have a testimonial, including your emails, of course. It has nothing to do with protecting your clients and everything to do with protecting yourself from any claims for false or misleading advertising. So let's look at this in a little bit more detail. This is a really good, solid disclaimer, and we're going to get to more copy and pastable disclaimers at the end. But results are based on individual experience and effort and are not guaranteed. That's a good one. Results not typical is okay, but your disclaimer can't completely contradict the kind of overall impression of your messaging, even if it comes from a testimonial. So if you have 3 testimonials where people are saying that as soon as they started your program, they started making $10,000 a month, and then you say results not typical, that's kind of contradicting your overall messaging by having 3 examples of people who made $10,000 from your program. So, what's the girl to do? Here's a giant list of things you can't do. This is a line from one of my favorite movies, which is Knocked Up, when he starts reading the pregnancy books and he's like, this whole book is basically a giant list of things that pregnant women can't do. So here's a giant list of things you can't do in terms of your testimonials. And we'll bring this back around to earnings claims in a second. So you cannot ask a friend, family member, or team member, or other person that kind of has ties to you to leave a review. That's if they genuinely have experienced your business as a client or a purchaser, that's different. If they have had a genuine experience with your business, yes, they can leave a review. But asking someone to kind of boost your Google rating or whatever, by leaving a phony review, you cannot do that. Asking anyone who hasn't experienced your products or services to leave a review. Hey, Instagram, I got a negative review. Can you all go on and leave me a good review? If they haven't worked for you, they really should not leave a review. You cannot provide an incentive to leave a positive review. Incentives are fine. I get them all the time from retail outlets, right? We all do. Get 20% off your next order if you leave a review. They will usually have, do they have this on Amazon? I wish I could remember where I was recently, where you could see that someone had received some kind of benefit in exchange for leaving their review. So that should be disclosed. That's something that should be disclosed if incentives are involved. You cannot suppress or hide negative reviews, and you cannot threaten people to take down negative reviews, obviously. You can't ask for reviews only from customers you think will leave positive ones. This is interesting, right? Especially from a service provider side, because like I said, if you don't systematize it, it's natural to you just worked with this client, they were amazing, they're pleased, and you're like, hey, here's my testimonial form. Technically, is that wrong? Should you systematize it so that everyone you work with gets this form? Yes, but that's a gray area that's not completely clear. So if you have questions, please chime in with questions. But this is what the FTC says. You cannot ask for reviews from customers that you only think will leave positive reviews. So something to keep in mind when you're systematizing. And then don't fall for shady SEO and reputation management practices. There are companies out there who will say that they'll boost your Google review by whatever, or they'll boost your, Amazon ratings, whatever it is. But they will do that by posting phony reviews, by using AI to post fake reviews, by posting negative reviews to your competitors. And so engaging in those activities or hiring someone to engage in those activities is a no-no, of course. Okay, earnings claims. This is so fun, especially in the coaching world. Any service or tool that claims it will make you money, right? The FTC's definition of an earnings claim is any spoken, written, or visual representation. So it can be an infographic, it can be a video, it can be a written review to a prospective purchaser, so on your website or on social media, that conveys or implies a specific level or range of actual potential sales, so a specific range of money, gross or net income, or profits. So oral, written, visual conveys somehow, it can imply, it doesn't have to specifically come out and state that they will enjoy some specific level of sales, income, or profits from your thing, right? That's an earnings claim. So if there's a misrepresentation, an omission, or anything that misleads the consumer, the FTC says that's deceptive in an earnings claim. Your CTAs can get you in trouble. And this is an email specific thing, right? Or your sales page, I suppose. Your call to action, right? The button or the phrase that gets your person to act. The call to action, literally the call to action. Click here to start making 10K a month. Ooh, copywriters might like that one, but lawyers don't. I don't. Um, because it's an earnings claim and it's attractive, but it can get you into trouble. So can your testimonials. Okay. It's the same thing. Click here to start making 10K a month. I made 10K my first month in the program. So even though it's not coming from you, it's making the same claim. So what do? You have options. Your first option is to substantiate it. Maybe most consumers that go through your program or use your product or your tool get a specific result, and you can substantiate that. You can back it up. Back it up. That's great. I hope that you can back it up. So that's one option. The other option is to provide a disclosure of the generally expected results. So what's an example of this? Do I have an example? I don't have an example. So, this is based on gross and not net income, or the average amount of income in 2023 for my clients was whatever. Just giving a little more information so that it's not misleading. So it's not just like, okay, I'm going to start making 10K a month. Because you know what? It's an FTC violation, but it'll also tick off some customers, right? If it is abundantly clear to them in your emails, on your sales page, I'm going to start making 10K months when I sign up for this thing. Look at all of these testimonials. Look at all the evidence in front of me that I will start making 10K months. And then they don't. Well, they're going to be asking for a refund. They're going to be issuing chargebacks. And that's a different kind of expensive. It's not a fine, but it's costly and it's a headache and it's annoying to deal with. So do you have any questions about this specifically or anything we've talked about so far in terms of using testimonials, why you need permission, systematizing that process, what you can and can't do, your earnings claims, anything like that? Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. Um, I just will kind of some of the testimonials that I have, I've actually, excuse me, I've actually only used their first initial for their last name to give them privacy. Is that okay to do?
Without asking their permission, you're saying you're using their initials so they can't be identified?
Um, no, each person, I got permission. I asked them to do a testimonial for a write-up for a directory because I'm on a directory for another site. And so I only use their first name, not their last name.
Yeah, I think as long as you get that permission, I think that's great. If they can specify if they don't want their entire name used, but I think using initials is a great way to also protect those people's privacy.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Thanks.
Yeah. Carla has a question. Do we need different approvals to repurpose them from Google rating to website use? Um, oh, I see what you're saying. So when you ask for that permission, I would be specific and say how you're going to use it. Um, Ideally, that's documented somewhere because they might say, oh, I didn't realize I was going to be on your social media with your 10,000 followers, but it was just going to be on your website. So it avoids that if you can just be clear with them, like, hey, here, can I use it in my marketing materials? I guess would be more broad, or on my website and social media, something like that. The other thing that I didn't mention that I'm going to take a second to mention is authors and books. If there's something that's going to be printed like a book, and a lot of times you see reviews in those first couple of pages of a book, that's a scenario where I definitely think you should get something in writing. Use that testimonial form that I linked to before, because that's permanent. You can't just delete an Instagram post with that, right? That's reprinting. That's an expense to you. if you don't have that permission. So if you have a book or something that's going to be printed that would be expensive or costly to change after the fact, definitely use one of those testimonial forms. Okay. Moving on, sharing my screen again. Okay. So legally collecting email addresses. This again might be common sense. Some of this might be new to some of you, especially with regard to some of the state laws. But we're going to talk about opt-in myths and truths. So we'll talk about the GDPR and Europe. We'll talk about double opt-ins, and we'll talk about privacy policy. So the first myth is if I'm not in Europe, I don't have to comply with the GDPR. That's not true. The question to ask is, where are your people? Now, it's easy for me to ask that question. I'm not licensed in Europe. I literally can't help people outside of the United States. I don't practice law outside of the United States. So this is not something that I have to worry about tremendously. But if you have a business where you have international clients or interest from on an international level, especially in this world that we live in, information is information, whether you're a home birth doula or you teach gardening or cooking or whatever it is that you do or teach or sell. If you sell to anyone in the EU, whether they're EU citizen or not, you have to comply with the GDPR. And the big thing, this was fresh in 2018, 2019. The big thing with the GDPR is consent, and getting consent in order to process someone's personal information, whether it's an email address, whether it's their name, etc. So the short answer to this question is yes, you have to comply with the GDPR, even if you're not in Europe. And the second myth is I have to enable double opt-in in order to comply with privacy law. First of all, does everybody know what double opt-in is? It is a tool where basically someone enters their name and their email address and submits in order to sign up for your freebie or your newsletter or whatever it is. And then they receive an email that says, confirm that you want to subscribe to blah, blah, blah. So it's that first email that they get where they have to double confirm, double opt in, to confirm that they meant to join your list. It's actually a great way to comply with the GDPR, but it's not required to comply with privacy law. What is required is getting consent to add them to your email list and making it clear that they will be added to your email list. If your opt-in, if your freebie, whatever it is sign up to get my emails. It's very obviously it's obvious what they're signing up for. But if it's sign up for my workshop or sign up for this free PDF guide, and you don't tell them that you're going to be adding them to your email list also, that's the tricky part, and that's where you can get in trouble. So having that disclosure, the GDPR requires that someone actually opt in and confirm. A little statement is not enough. They have to actually confirm. So the double opt-in is a good option there. Or a checkbox. If your tech and your systems will allow you that checkbox, even better, because then they don't have to check their email and confirm with the email and blah, blah, blah. But making sure that you have that consent to add them to your list and that it's clear that they're being added to your list as opposed to just, wait, I thought I was signing up for a freebie and now I'm getting marketing emails about a sale, right? So checking over here in the chat. Okay, great. So myth 3, I don't need a privacy policy if I'm not selling anything on my site. Not true. You know what I was going to say, that is not true. So let's talk about privacy policies for a second, because there is no federal United States data privacy law. I say that there are some, but we're not going to get into the weeds of, Children's Online Privacy Act and things like that. In terms of a GDPR type of thing, there's no federal law, but 18 states have enacted privacy laws since the GDPR went into effect. A couple of them are going into effect in 2025, but 18 or 19 is the accurate number. And the thing that all of these new privacy laws have in common is that you have to be transparent about how you're using the recipient's information. Well, you're not going to, on your website, under your opt in, talk about all the different things that you collect and how you collect them and how you're going to use them. That's what a privacy policy is for. Example, in California's privacy law, the operator of a commercial website must post a privacy policy. Period. Do you have anyone on your list from California? Do you know? You might not know, but you might just want to cover yourself so that you're not violating this very easy regulation. Um, so, yes, you need a privacy policy. And your privacy policy should talk about what types of information you collect and how you'll be using the information. This is really easy to do. And yes, I have a template for that also. It's a privacy policy and website terms of use. Um, and the Black Friday special is that it is 99. It's usually 122. It's 99 from now until November 14th. That is kind of my pre Black Friday special window. But I have a client who filled out the privacy policy, and I will quote her forever because she said, I just filled out my privacy policy in less than a minute holding a crying infant. I was like, well, if that doesn't set the bar, I don't know what does. And I will, if it will let me. Okay, so and this is what the template looks like. And you'll see why I said earlier that it's kind of Mad Libs like. Because it tells you your website, this is website terms of use, not privacy policy, but it gives you the info you should have on hand. You answer the questions and it asks, are you selling products on your website, digital or physical? It could be either one. And then it asks you for a refund policy. It'll give you a refund policy also. So you can kind of see how quick it is and easy it is. It does the thinking for you. Um, and then you get a privacy policy that I created for you. And it knows based on the answers to your questions, okay, she sells digital products. So we're going to put in this protective language specifically for digital products or physical or both, or whatever it is. So that's one little present for you all as a thank you for being on this workshop. Okay. Vibe check. Everyone feeling good so far? Any questions so far? In terms of collecting email addresses, getting consent, having a privacy policy, complying with the GDPR, all that good stuff. All right. You guys are quiet. Don't be shy about asking questions. All right. Copy and pastable disclaimers. I'm going to tell you you can screenshot, but I'm also going to give you these slides. So you don't have to screenshot, but it's up to you. Sometimes I love to screenshot. So the way that I kind of have structured these disclaimers, because there are different ways to say the same thing. And some people love the basic version. Some people want to sound like badass, tough, don't mess with me legal language. And some people prefer the light and fun. So I'm going to give you one option. For example, for testimonials, you'll get a basic version, results not guaranteed. Now remember what I said about it can't completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Contradict the overall message of your marketing, right? But sometimes results not guaranteed might work. Badass. Results are not guaranteed. Your results depend on your personal actions and your commitment to the program. Yeah. Or light and fun. These folks are amazing and walk the walk, but you should know that their results don't guarantee a similar income. Okay, you can see the difference. All these are great in different scenarios. Maybe one of these speaks to you more than the others. Like I said, you will get these slides, so we won't linger here too long. Affiliate links. Oh yeah, Black Friday's coming. You're going to start sending out your affiliate links, I hope, easy money. Basic. This email contains affiliate links. There you go. By the way, this should be easy to spot. Just like we looked at the color contrast on that footer, it should be conspicuous. That's the word I'm looking for. The disclaimer should be conspicuous. So at the top, it shouldn't be in like a very light font that's hard to read or difficult color to see. This email contains affiliate links. Or notice, I receive a commission if you purchase through the links in this email. Great. Light and fun. I only use and recommend products I know, trust, or just intuitively feel are awesome with a capital A. I will get a commission at no cost to you if you buy using any affiliate link in this email. You get the picture, right? Copy and paste. You have my full permission to copy and paste any of these. Earnings. Okay, so remember where the earnings disclaimers go before we get into the basic badass and light and fun. It can be an oral, video, or audio, written or visual representation like an infographic. It's to a prospective purchaser, so in a marketing email, and it conveys or it implies a level or range of sales, income, profits, etc. That's an earnings claim, right? So this is kind of hard to do without a specific example, but hopefully you will understand and appreciate the difference. Basic, based on gross revenue for a period of whatever. Badass. X out of Y customers in 20. This is what I was trying to say earlier. So I'm glad I wrote this out. Um, X out of Y. So 8 out of 10 customers in 2023 achieved this or similar results. Okay, that kind of substantiates or at least gives more information to an earnings claim about making 10K a month, right? Results vary and are not guaranteed. Together with this statement, I approve of results vary and are not guaranteed. Light and fun. I take every single effort to make sure that I'm accurately representing my programs and their ability to have an impact on your business and your life. But please know that obviously I cannot guarantee any results or earnings for my services or methods. Okay. Let's see. Yay. I'm glad you like the different copy options. Thank you, Ashley. So I'm curious actually, because I have toyed with the idea of creating a resource that is all different types of disclaimers and having these different copy options. So like if you could acknowledge in the chat or maybe type a 1 in the chat if that sounds interesting to you, having kind of like a little black book of disclaimers that you can pull from when you need and kind of where to use them and things like that, because that's something I've kind of noodled on in the back of my mind. Yay. Okay, cool. That's great. All right. 5 checks so far. We talked about a lot of different things. Any other questions before we move on? Uh, Thank you, Cynthia. I would rather you get it from me than ChatGPT too. um, Great. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, there are the dry disclaimers and they can be effective, but it's not as fun, especially in the email context, right? Okay, so I'm going to very briefly talk about my Black Friday specials. I said that you all, as a thank you for being on the workshop, would be the first to know about them. Nobody else knows about them on social media or my email list. So I will quickly run through these things. And it's a choose your own adventure thing. So free, and then a couple of paid options as well. So this is my free, totally free legal website disclaimer. It's in that same format that I kind of showed you earlier. Like I said, it's free. And it's that footer. It's got a copyright notice in it. It will help solidify your trademark protection. It will. It has disclaimers in it depending on your type of business. So it's customized based on the answers to your answers to the questions. Customized based on your business. So that's pretty cool. Next, Black Friday special number 1. I have several a la carte templates on my website, and the discount is $55 on all single a la carte templates. So that's $389 for a contract that you can use forever and ever and ever. It includes updates. It's in that same Mad Lib style context format. My goodness, can you tell I'm pregnant? I can't think of words. Um, so that's the special number 1 on all the a la carte templates you can play around with. And there's no code, by the way. There's no code needed for this. It's all, what time is it? In 10 minutes, the discount will be live on my website. And then special number 2 is the website protection bundle I talked about. Oh no, my QR code's not working. If you go to this website, you will see it there. It's the website protection bundle. But it's that terms of use, privacy policy, and then a standalone refund policy if you're selling on your website is discounted to $99 for the pre Black Friday sale. It's a pre Black Friday sale because I want you to have this in place before you start running your Black Friday offers because they will help to protect you. And then the third is the full apothecary. So that is every single template in the library and all future templates. So there's a $120 discount for lifetime access, or if you want to select a cash flow friendly payment plan, you can get access to the entire library today for $2 and then 11 monthly payments of 122. So it's a $120 discount on the full library. Here's a peek at what's inside. I don't want this to be overwhelming, but to give you an idea of what's currently in there, there's more being added all the time. I just added these affiliate terms and conditions. If you have your own affiliate program, especially with Black Friday coming up, getting your own sales army up and running is an amazing way to bring passive income or extra income. There's a podcast guest contract. There's contest giveaway rules, membership terms and conditions. There's online course terms and conditions, coaching agreement, retreat waiver, virtual assistant, independent contractor. Um, the website terms and conditions are obviously part of the library, so that would be included in this too. So it's meant to be all the contracts you need to start and protect your business online. And like I said, I'm adding to it. There'll be a VIP day contract coming. And what's the other one that's coming? Design services. So, and I take requests also from those who have the full library. So that is the full library. Those are the Black Friday specials. The workshop only bonus is that if you do decide to grab the full library by midnight on Monday, you'll get 1 month of free voice note support with me. Voice note support is something that I offer as an alternative to having to, number one, charge for every email and every question that I get in my inbox. And number two, avoid scheduling and calendars and whatever. If you've ever used Boxer, it's okay. It's voice notes, right? It's voice text. We've all voice texted at this point. But it's questions that you would normally ask on the phone that we can talk about on Voxer and answer. So sign up for that apothecary by Monday, and you'll get a month of voice note support as well. So if you remember one thing from today, I actually didn't make notes on this because I was like, I'll be able to pull out the one thing. But it's hard. I would say two things. One is remember to be accurate and not misleading in your emails. You probably already comply with this, right? But the subject line thing, the that's like I said, especially when there are built-in tools like Flowdesk. Again, I love Flowdesk, but um, that can suggest things that might not be the best legal practice. That's a big takeaway. And then also that remembering that your testimonials can act as marketing materials, even though you're not the one saying them. I'd love to know what your biggest takeaway is in the chat. Um, do I sell these contracts one off? Yes. Oh, yes. All of the contracts in that list, this list, are all in the in on the website that you can buy a la carte. And all of those are $55 off as the pre-Black Friday, pre-Black Friday special. So thank you, Cynthia, for asking that question. That's it. Oh, my picture's not working here either. That's so silly. Okay. That's it. Does anyone else have any? Yes, you can ask a live question. Go ahead, Betsy.
Hi, Ria.
Hi.
So two things. So I'm a gardener and also herbalist. And I saw those herbs drawing there. So in your package, so one, you said that there's going to be a design services contract. Okay, so I will need something like that. And then second, do you have something like for those of us who are herbalists, like this is not medicine or medical advice?
So that is something that is built into the free website disclaimer. It asks, I'm not going to get this right off the top of my head, but it basically will ask if you incorporate any kind of healing modalities, which I would consider herbalism a yes. So that website disclaimer will pop in that type of language for your website disclaimer. In terms of a disclaimer for your actual products, I don't have that living anywhere, but that's something that I could add to this little black book of disclaimers that I'm thinking about creating. So, yeah, that's a great idea. You're talking about in terms of on the physical products?
Well, so my products are basically like they're just like straight from my garden and just, um, I have a CSA. So, a little small like urban farm. And so there's vegetable from a beekeeper, there's honey, there's cut flowers, and there's herbs. And so people are having issues, then I will give them different herbs for different ailments. Not not anything like in like this is gonna solve your problems if you need to go to a medical doctor kind of stuff. It's like
Mhm.
you're if you can't sleep, here's a little lemon balm.
Yeah,
Um,
support instead of medical advice.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, herbal support is what I call it. I don't even call it medicine.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, just wondering if those were part of the package.
A CSA is kind of a subscription. So if that's something that you're selling through your website,
No,
um, it's not.
the
Oh, it's
CSA
not.
is like to my neighbors. Like
Okay.
it's just in the neighbors, like in my community. People really within like a 2 block radius of my house.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, I think that that website disclaimer might be good, at least in the website context for getting that not medical advice and similar types of disclaimers, at least on
yeah.
your website.
But I think that we do want to start selling honey, like with like this, like South Carolina state, like a label and all that kind of. So, um, can you when you go back in, or like if you do one for your digital products, would you just like then go back in and do another one for your physical product? So I saw
So
you couldn't click both.
yes, you can click both. And if you click both, then it'll have the language for digital products and physical products. So once you
Okay.
add physical products, then you can go back to the questionnaire and just regenerate. You actually might be able to access your previously filled out form and just edit. So you can go back, add physical products. It might ask you a couple of questions about, returns and refunds and things. But yes, you can absolutely just use the form again and regenerate a new policy once you have those physical products.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? I want to thank you all so much for being here today. And I hope you found this helpful. I haven't given a workshop on this topic before, but it seemed necessary, especially with Black Friday coming up. So, Joe's got a question. Let's see your question, Joe.
Yes, I just yeah, can you hear me? I just want to make sure you
Yeah.
can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were saying regarding the privacy policy. So if you have people from California, you still have to add the full disclaimer and policy on what you're taking in to apply to the rules.
Yeah.
Because I'm
So,
based out in New York, and like I just didn't think that having everything, I need all the little details of that.
right. Okay. This is a great question. It's not about where you're based, it's about where you're collecting information. And so if someone from California signs up for your list, then yes, you need that privacy policy. And I mean, my thought is let's just make sure you're covered just in case someone from California signs up for your list tomorrow. And the privacy policy that I kind of linked to that will cover the CPRA, which is the California Privacy Regulation, something like that. So yeah,
Thank you.
sure. All right, we're at 1:30, so thank you all so much for being here again. And I'll
I have
see
a
you all
question.
next. Yeah, sure.
Sorry. It, just curious because I'm coaching and doing uh a different. It's a new form of it's hard to describe. I'm sorry. um, but my clients are sometimes international. And so, how does that work for like coaching or, I do this, it's a service called It's Soul Integration. And, so it's kind of like, I don't know if you know anything about Akashic Records.
Oh yeah.
Okay. It's like the Akashic Records. And it's kind of like, uh, Dolores Cannon, but I don't put you under. And so we find your other past lives, or um, they call them orphans, where we can retrieve them and bring them home. And it releases the trauma that you have in you. So like I have clients that are international. So how does that work when you're putting together a disclaimer?
So it works because well, a few ways. The terms of use on your website say that your website is governed based on US law and the law of your state, whichever state that you indicate. And then two, whether it's a coaching program where you're sending them a coaching contract, or maybe it's a session that they're booking with you, which there is a template for. It's under energy healing, but it works for Akashic Records as well, because you can state that you offer Akashic Records sessions. But it says here is the law that applies to this relationship. So you establish through your contract the law that applies to the services that you're providing.
Okay. So you said it's under lookout in your
In the
contract.
library, it's energy healing. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.